Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskrityam
Narayanam Namaskritam.
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Naram Chaivo Narottamam.
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam.
Tato Jayamudire
Tato Jayamudire.
Nashtaprayasu Bhadresu
Nashtaprayesu
Bhadreshu
Bhadreshu.
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya.
Bhagavati Uttama Sloke
Bhagavati Uttama Sloke.
Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki.
Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki.
Reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 10, titled The Opulence of the Absolute. And the verse number today, which is one of the top 108 verses after the Chaturshloki, and the two other verses is 10.41, which is the 41st verse of this chapter. Yad yad vibhuti mat sattvam
Yad vibhutim sattvam
Srimad urjitameva va
Srimad
Srimad
Urjitam
Urjitam
Eva
Eva Va.
tat tat eva vagachatvam
Attad Eva
Eva
Avagachatvam
Bhavachatam.
mama tejosma sambhavam
Mama
Mama
Tejo
Teja
Asambhavam
Anjan.
tat tat vibhuti mat sattvam
Yad
Yat
Yad
Yat Vibhuti
Vibhutim
Matsattvam.
Sattvam
Srimad urjitam eva va
Srimad
Srimad
Urjitam Eva
Urjitam
Va.
Eva Va
tat tat eva vagachatvam
Attad Eva Agachantam
mama tejosma sambhavam
Mama Tejo Asambhavam
yad yad vibhuti mat sattvam
Yad Yad Vibhutim Sattvam
Srimad urjitam eva va
Srimad Urjitam Eva Va
tat tat eva vagachatvam
Tattad Eva Agachatvam
mama tejosma sambhavam.
Mama Tejo Sambhavam
Prabhuji sir, Mataji.
Yad Yad Vibhutim Sattvam
Yat
Yad
Yat
yad
Vibhuti
vibhuti
Matsattvam.
matsattvam
Srimad Urjitam Eva Va
Srimad
Srimad
Urjitam Eva Va.
eva va
Tatta Eva Agachatvam
Tat Tat
tattat
Eva
eva
Vagachatvam.
vagachatvam
Mama Tejo Asambhavam
Mama
mama
Teja.
tejosambhavam
Yat Yat Vibhuti Matsattvam.
yad
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 vibhuti
Vibhutim
matsattvam
Sattvam
Srimad Urjitam Eva Va.
Srimad
Srimad
Urjitam
urjitam
Eva
eva
Va
va
Tat Tat Eva Vagachatvam.
tattat
Tattad Eva
eva
Agachatvam
vagachatvam
Mama Teja Sambhavam.
Mama
mama
Tejo Sambhavam
tejosambhavam. Word by word meaning yat yat, whatever.
Yat Yat whatever
Vibhuti, opulences.
Vibhuti opulences
Mat, having.
Mat
Mat
having.
having
Sattvam, existence.
Sattvam
Sattvam
existence
Srimad, beautiful.
Srimad
Srimad
beautiful.
beautiful
Urjitam, glorious.
Urjitam
Urjitam
glorious.
glorious
Eva, certainly.
Eva
Eva
certainly.
certainly
Va, or.
Wow.
Va or
Tat, tat, all those.
Tat
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 all
all those.
those
Eva, certainly.
Eva
Eva
certainly.
certainly
Avagacha, must know.
Avagacha must know.
Avagacha must know
Tvam, you.
Tvam you
Mama, my.
Mama
Mama
my.
my
Teja, of the splendor.
Teja of the splendor
Amsa, a part.
Amsa a part.
Amsa a part
Sambhavam, born of.
Sambhavam, born of.
Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Ki Jai.
Know that all opulent,
Know that all opulent,
beautiful and glorious
beautiful and glorious
creations
creations
spring from
spring from
but a spark of my splendor.
but a spark of my splendor.
Any Prabhuji would or Mataji would like to read this purport?
All glorious or beautiful existence should be understood to be but a fragmental manifestation of Krishna opulence, whether it be in the spiritual or material world. Anything extraordinarily opulent should be considered to represent Krishna's opulence.
Thank you so much. Let's all chant together. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnana Shalakaya Chakshurmritam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaiham Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Utapadakamanam Sri Guru Vaishnavamsha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Sri Vishakha Vitam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishwano Sati Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. So thank you so much for joining this wonderful Sangha of Saturday evening Bhagavad Gita discussion, where we take the top 108 verses from Bhagavad Gita, the Bhagavad Gita which is spoken by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And we'll try to hear or discuss some deep considerations what the Supreme Personality of Godhead was discussing with Arjuna, and Bhagavad Gita is a discussion of frequently asked questions between Arjuna and Krishna, and it is answered so beautifully by Krishna. So in this verse, which is talking about the opulences of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which this entire chapter is devoted to the opulence of the Absolute. Here, Lord Krishna is explaining that the opulences, the vibhuti, or the majestic nature of this entire world, the entire cosmic manifestation, or anything you see in this universe, and the beauty of anything which is surrounding us, whether it is trees or rivers, and when you go on a street, everything is so beautiful. And urjitam, anything which is glorious, anything which is, full of glory, anything which is created with so much of beauty and finer details. So Krishna is saying three things here: the opulences, the beauty, and the glorious. All these which you see around you, yad yad vibhuti mat sattva srimat urjitam evava. So Krishna is saying these three things: the opulences, the majesty, the first thing, and the second thing being the beauty, The beauty of this universe, the beauty of individuals, the beauty. Sometimes people think the beauty is created, the beauty of a person is created by the parents, but actually it is created by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The beauty of not necessarily just a person, but the mountains and the beauty around us, the nature, the mother nature. And the third thing is glorious, something which is out of ordinary, which is full of glories. The devotees which are very glorious, they always refer that the purpose of the glory is due to the Supreme. And Krishna is saying these three things which you see, opulences, beauty, and glory, is a amsa. It's actually a fraction of my spark, which is essentially what Krishna is saying here. All this beauty, everything you see here is essentially a spark, and that can only be understood by a devotee because of various different reasons. So the essence of the verse is everything appears great is due to Krishna. If you think that something is your creation, Hoover Dam, for example, is one of the biggest dams in the world, and it is a masterpiece. It's one of the top 7 technology masterpiece. Probably, I don't know what the current count is. Maybe it is still one of the technological marvels. But if you think deep into it, the way in which the rocks were created, the way in which the blending of the rocks and the steel cantilevers go into those rocks, and how the rocks holds onto it, and how rocks over a period of time has garnered strength from time immemorial when Krishna created this universe. Everything has a small hand of Krishna. So spark from Krishna comprise of the opulences or the majestic things in this world, and it and anything you see beautiful has a amsa, which you all read today, a small fraction of Krishna, and anything which is glorious, anything which is powerful. And this can only be understood by a devotee if they have understood that anything around us is actually a creation of the Supreme. So once upon a time, our Acharya says there was a person, there was a lady who was, indulging in uh, in, in 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 body shamming, uh, and she happened to sing a bhajan of Krishna beautifully. So the person who is uh, materially attracted to that lady would hear the music with the intent to have physical relationship. But if there is a devotee around, he would say that this Mataji is singing so beautifully is because of the nice vocal cords which is presented to him by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. And without the vocal cords, she wouldn't be singing though beautifully. The same experience is seen differently by different people because the same beautiful, glorious, majestic singing from a person appears differently to different people, and it is purely based on the consciousness level. And that is the reason why Srila Prabhupada has emphasized that this love for Godhead can only be established by sharpening and alerting our consciousness. The same person, 20, 30 years ago, most of us who were not attached to Krishna consciousness were not getting into the root of the scriptures, and we're not able to understand the beauty of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the life of ours. outside you may see a leaf will not even tickle without the wind, and the wind is driven under the control of Pavan Dev, the wind demigod, and then the wind demigod takes the response from Brahmaji, and Brahmaji is the creator in terms of the constructor of a universe, and these universes are created by the Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, who has come from Karnadakshaya Vishnu, and Karnadakshaya Vishnu is one of the quadruple expansion of Purna Purushottam Krishna. So if you go dovetail into how everything got created, manifested with opulence, beauty, and glory, is actually a spark of the Supreme Personality of God. When Lord Krishna was holding the Govardhan hill in his pinky when the Samvartaka clouds were sent by Indra, who was one of the demigods, and in various different places of all the devas, Krishna says, I am Indra, who is the head of all the devas. And the same Indra forgot that somebody else is my master, and he sent the huge clouds which engulfed or flooded the entire Vrindavan. And Lord Krishna came and lifted the Govardhan hill for 7 days, 7 nights, and she lifted it in his left hand pinky. And the devotees of Vrindavan didn't think that Krishna is a small kid. He is, 7 or 8 years old, and he would shake the Govardhan hill, and they will all get trampled onto the mountain. But they had tremendous faith in Krishna. And what did everything you saw here took? It essentially took the left hand of the Krishna. And of all the fingers, Krishna didn't use the most powerful finger, which is the thumb, or the other fingers which are more thicker. He used the most inferior finger. So it is actually, if you think deep into it, is actually spark of Krishna. And Krishna, through various different leelas of the Lord, when he was a kid, he would not use his weapon or his darshan chakra or anything. He would twill somebody, he will suck somebody's breast, he will do, he will expand, and he will just dance to the tune of somebody to take the poison out. So if you see his actions at a very small age, is actually a negligible power when you think about the kind of demons he was subjected to, and how even with Kamsa, he was just in a wrestling match. He didn't have to use any of his weapons or any sort, just with thumbs and with kicks and twirls or dance. He would. So if you think about the prowess of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it is insignificant actually when it is applied on us. So we are infinitesimal and Krishna is infinite. And we have qualitative values from the Supreme because in our heart, Krishna is residing as Paramatma. But quantitatively, Krishna says it's just a small spot, it's a small amsa. And that brings us to the definition of God given by Parasar Muni in Vishnu Puran 6.5.47. Aishwaryasya samagrasya viryasya yashashoshriya jnana vairagya yasucheva sannam bhaga itingana. That means Aishwarya, riches, virasya, strength, yashashva, influence, wisdom, beauty. And when you have all this 5, you don't have renunciation because you are puffed up. But Krishna, in spite of having all this 5, and why Parasar Muni is saying it? If you look at Brahma Samhita, Krishna says, Brahmaji says, Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Madan. Because Govinda is the Adi Purusha. He is the primeval person who created this entire thing. Because when you come to a temple at 4:25 and you are the second person, you'll know that the first person who came is the other person around you. If you come as the third person, you don't know who came first. It may be person one or it may be person two. But Brahmaji, when he came from the navel of Garbhodaksha Vishnu, he was the first person. And when he is saying who the Supreme Personality of Godhead is, who came for him, who is Adi Purusha, then there is no other text you have to go to check it out. When Brahma Samhita says, when Brahmaji says, Govindam Adi Purusam, he being the second person in this universe, coming from the stem of the navel of Garbhodaksha Vishnu, and that certification is enough to say that Govindam, who is none other than Krishna, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the Adi Purusha. And that's why it is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, Bahunam Janmanamante Jnanavan Mam Prapati. That means who is actually knowledgeable, which is all of you. You're basically taking your time to hear about the ultimate truth. There's nothing which is more truthful than the Bhagavad Gita. And when the knowledgeable person like you surrender onto Krishna, he's saying, Bahunam Janmanamante, after a lot of births and deaths, you've come this far. You don't know whether your last life was as powerful as your this life. And in spite of that, you have not really gone into a movie theater or a park. You have congregated to discuss about the Supreme's powerful statements. And then at the end, you're surrendering and you know me to be the cause of all causes. Vasudeva Sarvamiti Samahatma Sudurlabha. That means you who have understood Krishna, that he is the cause of all causes. And then when you surrender, that Mahatma, that person who is congregating to discuss about the glories of the Lord, it's very rare. So that's why it doesn't matter whether 4 people or 10 people join our Bhagavad Gita discussion, because we may not be perfect, but we're talking about verses which are perfected people all around the world. So it doesn't matter the number of people who join. Sometimes 10 may join, sometimes 20 may join, sometimes 5 may join. But our ability to discuss about the Supreme is so significant that, and then when we recognize that we are cause of all causes, Krishna is saying, these people are Sudurlabha, Samahatma Sudurlabha. That means what Krishna is saying in 10.41 and 7.19, he is giving a passive voice representation of the active voice. If you look at these 2 verses, they are kind of complementing each other. So when Krishna, as Lord Jagannath, goes out to meet his devotees, he is very majestic. He's so beautiful, and he's coming on a chariot, and none of the Mula Vigrahas of any temple comes out in this form or shape. It's only Krishna who comes out. There is no other form of the Lord you'll find in this world. But the Mula Vigraha comes out. They may get some Saligram Sila or something, but the Mula Vigraha coming out, that means he must be glorious, he must be powerful enough to really come out with so much of mercy to see his devotees. And when that spark of the darshan of Lord of the universe, Lord Jagannath, is taken by devotees for a fraction of a second, it can melt the heart of devotees, because nowhere else the Supreme Personality of Godhead comes out to meet his devotees in the public forum as a simple personality. So when you think about Krishna, everything about Krishna is so personalized. The paraphernalia of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is so personalized and it's so powerful. That's the reason why they say there's no difference between Krishna and Krishna Prasad. The Prasad of Krishna is very auspicious. And likewise, the paraphernalia of the Lord, which is the third year of the Lord, is very, very auspicious. And we have to have the right mindset to take care of the beauty and opulence of the Supreme and think that everything is dovetailing into his creation and it is just a spark, exactly like Krishna had 9 other fingers, but he just lifted it in the weakest finger possible. And he could have killed Kalia immediately, but he did it just by dancing on him so that all the poisons are taken out. All the ahankars are taken out once you recognize the Supreme. The time the knowledge acquisition starts is when you realize how much you don't know. Then only you can go and acquire knowledge. But if you are always puffed up, you think you know everything, you can't run and acquire knowledge. If a sponge is filled with water, you can't let the sponge attract more water. When the sponge is humble and recognizes that he needs water to fill it up, then only the water can go and get absorbed. So we have to make ourselves in such a situation that when Lord comes out to meet his devotees on the day of Rath Yatra, which is just 4 or 5 days away, we should open our hearts so that Krishna's magnanimity, Krishna's mercy, Krishna's majestic nature, Krishna's beauty can all be internalized in our hearts. And then we can truly understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the true sense. And this is not an end game as to this is done, we are done. This is once you start loving somebody, the love increases. That's why they say love is in the detail. Love has to be expressed. Love cannot be kept within ourselves, which is exactly why we should take a moment to share, to contribute, to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead in whatever way we can. And that's exactly a reciprocation. And devotees, when devotees reciprocate, Krishna in the form of Lord of the Universe reciprocates 200%. And that's why Krishna says, if you take one step, I will come 10 steps to get you. And something, when Surdas fell down in the well, Krishna came and with love, he could take it out. And when Surdas' hand was taken away by Krishna, Surdas wants to get association of Krishna. Surdas says, you cannot take yourself out from me. You may have taken yourself out from me from the hand, but from the heart, you cannot take yourself out because you are in my heart. So more we keep Krishna in our hearts and recognize the supremacy through this verse, which speaks about the majestic opulence nature of Krishna, one. Secondly, the beauty of everything around and the glories and power of Krishna as number 3 have all come from a spark of Krishna as 1% of Krishna or even less than 1% of Krishna. Once we recognize that, whenever we recognize that all these buses, all these trains, the schools which are operating around us is done by the government, and we recognize the government is doing so good work to keep our schools up to date, roads clean, then we feel like giving him the tax properly at the right time. Likewise, when we recognize this entire world is created by the Supreme through his beauty, through the exemplary maneuverability, we feel like surrendering it. The more quickly we recognize that, which is the ultimate truth, it will definitely transcend into a exchange of devotional service and a love between us devotees and the Supreme Personality of God. We can go on and on, but would like to hear your comments. If you have any correction and if you have any reflection. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Jai. Hare Krishna.
Any thoughts, Prabhuji, based on what we discussed today about spark of Krishna?
Thank you, Prabhuji, for the wonderful class, as always. I really like all the examples that you have given in this class today. And also, like, if I see like earlier verses also, right? Like Chatur Sloki one, he says, right? Aham Sarvasya Prabhava, like everything emanates from him, okay? Like all the spiritual world and material world. And also, I was attending one of the classes from Radheshyam Prabhuji, who came to our ISKCON temple once, right? So he was giving very good examples that just for consider example, the design of the human body, okay, is so perfect, right? Like where is the nose, where is the eye, where, let's say if the mouth is, put on the backside of the nose, like how it is difficult, right? So everything is put in a very, very consistent manner, okay. The design itself, like very, very wonderful, okay. So he was giving very, very good examples. I was attending one of the classes for him. And also, Prabhuji, like, yeah, I have one question. So I was actually reading Chaitanya Charitamrita, actually, where actually it's mentioned that, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he was chanting, right, he was became mad, actually. He was sometimes, crying, sometimes laughing, sometimes. So these kind of symptoms, right? Why, Prabhuji, like, because Hare Krishna Mahamantra is like, spiritual, right? Like everything should, feel the same, right? For someone is feeling so much, ecstatic when they chant, and someone is not feeling that ecstatic. So why there is like, same mantra, but why there like people are, feeling differently with different, right? Why is that,
Yes,
Prabhu?
wonderful question. So Prabhuji, what happens is we have gone through conditioning. We have gone through a lot of upbringing. We may have gone through challenges, family, relatives, devotees, work association. We have a way of dealing with certain things. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna Viraha Vidura. What it means is he is Krishna in separation from Krishna. And Lord Jagannath in Jagannath Puri, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is mentioned, our Acharya says he is Radha Viraha Vidura. That means there is no Radha Rani around Lord Jagannath. So Lord Jagannath is Krishna in separation of Radharani. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna in separation of Krishna. So that the analytics, the dynamics. So as he is Krishna himself, he is separating himself from Krishna. So when he's chanting, his hairs used to lift up. When he used to see Lord Jagannath, he will not see as Choka Lord Jagannath. He will see as Tribhangi Lord Jagannath. So whenever you're seeing your kid after probably 2 months, your outpouring of love and emotion is different from your day to day. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is so fresh. He's Krishna himself that he was sometimes he used to squeeze himself. If you have gone to Gambhira, the place where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to live, it's a very, very small place, bro. He could just squeeze in. He was so flexible that he has no attachment to anything. He was a true sannyasi. So that's why Chaitanya Charitamrita takes the dimension of a devotee to such a level that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was an exemplification of an ideal devotee who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. So what it means is Lord wanted to come. So when Lord Krishna was seeing the bhava of Gopi, he was thinking, how can the devotees of myself be more happier than me? And because of that, Krishna desired to come as another Supreme Personality of Godhead, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 500 years ago. And in that mood, when he came as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he's Krishna himself. But he wants to experience that separation from Krishna in himself. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's, so and likewise, and to compare and contrast with this thing, our chanting is at a convenience. If you get up early, very early in the morning, and you chant with the purity, with focus, with meditation, with technique, chanting is nothing but a very call to action meditational technique. Now you can see there are people who are doing all this yoga, so-called chanting, in a very mechanical, in a wind-taking manner. But when you have understood the principles of bhakti and you wake up at a very pure time with no much anxieties and you chant, there are people who chant with purity, with bhava, they cry. So to, to answer your question, there are responses from chanting which has transformed. But we have to improve our quality of chanting. But that doesn't mean we would stop chanting assuming that, oh, hey, I'm not really feeling for it. I'm not crying for Krishna. Maybe it's not the right. No, we have to give time. We have to give some practice into, and some a time will come. You can also cry for Krishna. There are people who have experienced this chanting exercise into their internalized process, and they're reaping benefit of that by purifying the process of chanting. It may not happen overnight, Prabhu, but more and more we chant quietly with focus on the Tribhangi form of the Lord, or the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu form of the Lord, or the Jagannath form of the Lord, or whatever Supreme Personality of Godhead is in your hearts. You can experience Lord around you. And then they say, when you chant properly, Krishna dances on your tongue. So if you chant with quality, you will feel goosebumps at time. But we should not aspire to compare ourselves with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who was Krishna himself. But you will definitely experience some bliss and joy. Hearing about Katha, you'll derive bliss. As long as our life is surrounded by the devotees through the act of hearing and chanting and all the processes which is laid out, then different people have different reactionary things. Hanuman was always a dasya. He was not having the other angle in terms of Pada Sevanam or whatever. He was always in dasya, but that doesn't really mean that he is not a top bhakti personified. He was. So it all depends on how our upbringing, our traits are. But chanting is a process over a period of time. It will help you grow in your liking for the Harinam, because Krishna has put everything in his name. And in the age of Kali, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Kevalam, Kalonaste, Vanaste, Vanaste, Ugati, Anyatha. That means in this age of Kali, there is no other path. So more and more we sharpen our love for Lord, and by calling out in the morning, and then we'll experience that element of purity. A day when your chanting is good, you'll see that your day goes well. And if your chanting is not, if haphazard or things like that, it's not, doesn't go that well. So it's the consciousness we have to put in, the love we have to put in, then it will become very advanced. And even if it doesn't become like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but at least we're making progress in our chanting. Is that okay, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji, really helps. So I feel like, sometimes when my chanting is proper, I feel like, fully satisfied from my heart. When sometimes, my chanting is not proper, due to some problems, okay. I feel like something I'm missing, okay, that during that whole day I'm feeling like, why I'm feeling sad or something happened. I feel like that, Prabhuji, sometimes if my chanting was not proper, okay. Yeah.
That onset of realization, what you just shared, that is significant, because once you have realized that you have to improve quality of chanting to prolong the quality of life during the day, it helps you, because Krishna consciousness is a very internalized process. It's not a show-off thing. We're not chanting to show that I can do 16 round or 32 round. It's a very internalized, it's a very personal thing, as Hariparshad Prabhu once mentioned in our temple. If you've seen that class, it's in our YouTube as well, the temple media website. So it's a very personal thing. It's not a competition. But as long as you have introspected and you have recognized your ability to qualitatively improve chanting every day, I think you have met the objective. And soon you make it regular, you'll become a wonderful devotee, which will only help you and your traits and your relationship with other human beings.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Any other comments or thoughts?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dhanvat from All Glory Srila Prabhupada. Yes, Prabhuji, I wanted to thank you for the class, definitely, with the very relevant examples. To Niranjan Prabhu's question, Prabhuji, comment is, Prabhuji, Prabhupada always gives an example. So we have to see, we have to take that example to understand our position, Prabhuji. What example Prabhupada gives is, gold is there in the ore also, gold is there in the ornament also, Prabhuji. So what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is a ornament, and what we are is, we are a ore in the gold. In the ore, we are just the gold, Prabhuji. How the gold is extracted from the ore and transformed into a ornament which is used in the service of Krishna, right? We decorate Krishna with the ornament. So similarly, Prabhuji, this process, what we are going through is millions of years of what our soul has accumulated. We have to basically do, you can say dialysis, or you can say mining, whatever you can comprehend, Prabhuji. We have to go through this process of mining and extraction, attraction to basically transform ourselves to the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's level. Of course, it's a very rare phenomena, Prabhuji, but we can approach to that. We may not achieve that to that extent, but to some extent we can achieve. So that is through love and surrender, as Prabhu we should have. So what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught, in which no other incarnation or no other manifestation of Krishna has taught, is the love of Godhead, Prabhuji. So the moment, see, when you serve your children, Prabhuji, why do you serve? You unconditionally, because you love them, Prabhuji. Similarly, when you love Krishna, our transformation will begin, journey of transformation, the process of transformation will begin, and we will slowly we may get in this lifetime or next lifetime, we don't know. That also, as Prabhuji mentioned, it depends upon the index of our surrender, Prabhuji. How much we surrender and how much we serve, it depends on that. But we should not get frustrated. What I want to tell is that, Prabhuji, that we should make endeavor and we should slowly transform. It's not an overnight, because we are human beings. We are born on this earth, means we have accumulated some past, and which we have to basically clean it up to come to that process. So it's a journey, Prabhuji. We have to do this journey with the guidelines given in the scriptures. I wanted to add that, Prabhuji.
Yes. Yeah. So Prabhuji touched on two key things. One is the transformation from a gold mine ore to an ornament gold. And also he spoke about the importance of journey. If the transformation is not experienced through a journey, then what good is the journey? Because the transformation has to be imbibed, has to be experienced, has to be internalized. So the progress Prabhuji is making when he has realized that when the chanting goes well in the day, his day goes well. And when the chanting quality doesn't go all that well, he is not very happy with his work products or whatever. So the point is, you are experiencing the transformation and you are experiencing the journey, which is exactly what any yoga ladder is all about. How we're going above in the ladder, and it's a journey as well. So, and if you compare where we all were, and after going through the process laid out by Srila Prabhupada, which is directly through the Guru Parampara and through Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we have experienced, and many millions of people around the world has experienced. So that is a yardstick that there is some benefit of going through this journey. Thank you, Prabhu, for sharing. Any other comments? Prajapati Prabhu, you want to say something?
Oh, thank you, Prabhuji. Very nice part. Yes.
And very good discussion from Niranjan Prabhu. And that's why when the number of attendees sometimes goes down, actually we have a very in-person, heart-to-heart conversation, taking time in understanding and discussing everybody's perspective. And so it doesn't matter whether more people join or less people join, as long as we can have devotee association who are miles and 10s and 20s, 30s miles apart. And in your case, Prajapati Prabhu, it's thousands of miles apart. And when we can come together to discuss about the glories of Krishna, Supreme Personality of Godhead, through today we took 10.41. And once we can experience it, I think we're part of the journey. So congratulations, everyone. So
Prabhuji, on this verse, I wanted one of the point which I realized when you were talking, Prabhuji, Krishna's opulences, Prabhuji, one, we should admire, Prabhuji. Two, we should, first we should understand, Prabhuji. When we understand, then we will admire. And the ultimate the manifestation of understanding is we should not try to enjoy that at a bodily level. That means we should not, if we see, for example, Prabhuji, Chappan Bhog offered to deities, we should not, at least I feel that should not feel that I should have all those laddus or gulab jamuns, right? It is offered to Krishna as prasad. Let's distribute it and let's let everyone enjoy. So that brings the actual joy, Prabhuji. That is the beauty of Krishna consciousness. The more you distribute it, Prabhuji, the more we enjoy, the more we distribute and we make people recognize and let others recognize the opulences of Krishna. Then we are trying to spread Prabhupada's and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission, Prabhuji. So point to take home is we should also we should understand and we should also try to spread this Vibhuti, Prabhuji, to everyone as far as possible. But we can only spread when we know what is the value of it, right? Like the diamond merchant knows what is the value of diamond. Otherwise, I may think that to be a piece of glass, right? So that is one point I wanted to discuss. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Absolutely, absolutely. If with distribution, love spreads, and love is in the details. When we spread love, happiness spreads, then we make more people happy. And once you're selfish, we restrict it, then we sort of the bliss we are deriving serving the Supreme. Srila Prabhupada was a true Vaishnava in the sense he was paradukhe dukhi. He realized that people in the Western world are bereft, and they were bereft of this nectar, this pure love of Krishna consciousness. And it took him a close to month to come in a freight ship. Sort of difficulties. He had 2 heart attacks, but at the end of the day, when he spread it, it looked even better. So thank you so much on the aspect of spreading the love for Krishna among others, whether it is through prasadam, whether it's through knowledge. The spreading gives devotees a lot of love.
Prabhupada he literally, there is somewhere I have read, Prabhupada used to cry when he saw retired people playing golf. And in his morning walk, when he saw people were playing golf, that why they are not utilizing the time. So I wanted to second your thought, Prabhuji, that he did not come here just, he also came because his Guru Maharaj told, but he had a genuine concern for the people, Prabhuji, that we should give Krishna consciousness to them, and we should try to eliminate their ignorance, basically.
Yes.
That why this life, okay, they are settled now, it's a time to basically for them to contemplate on why we are human beings and why we are not animals. So that's what he was compassionate for that.
So if there is no other comments, clarification, questions, we can end here.
Yes.
And we have some big programs coming up, festivities. First time Lord is transcendentally sick, and he will give first darshan during the Swayam darshan on Thursday, 8:35. And that's the first time Lord is going to give darshan after 2 weeks of seclusion on Avasar. Very nice mood to cleanse your eyes with the first darshan of the Lord, followed by the traditional darshan on the actual day of Rath Yatra as in Jagannath Puri on the 1st of July at 7:30, followed by the Yatra in the evening, starting at 6 p.m. And then on the boardwalk on the 2nd, which is Saturday, we will be going, as you face the sea, we'll be going from left to right. And we'll be going from the intersection of New Jersey Avenue and Boardwalk all the way to Kennedy Plaza. It'll be a 2-hour wonderful yatra. A huge chariot is going to be on display in the actual in the Atlantic Yatra on the 2nd. So the first darshan on the 30th of June in the evening, followed by actual day Rath Yatra as a Jagannath Puri on the 1st of July at 6 p.m. onwards, and on the 2nd of July with Atlantic City. So a lot of festivities are coming up. So it's a good opportunity, as Bhaktiratnaka Prabhu said, to spread the love. When Lord is coming out, we have an opportunity to spread, because Lord is coming out with his open arms. If you see Lord Jagannath, he is welcoming his devotees with open arms. So serve in whatever capacity you can. And if there's no other question, we can end with our prayers to the Vaishnava at his lotus feet. Vancha kalpataru Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo Vaishnavavrinda ki Bhagavad Gita ki Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Jagannath Prabhu ki jai.